Which real-life cheat codes do you know? Talk positive about people behind their backs. Being polite increases your odds of getting what you want. Yep. Former retail worker here. If you're nice to me, I'll do everything in my power to help you out. If you're an ass, I'm sticking to policy 100%, without any inch of movement. The odds increase exponentially too, if the person in line ahead of you was an asshole, and then you come up, and treat the worker like a human being. Worked at a call center for a credit card company. If you ever get hit with a late fee, politely call customer service, and ask if there's a possibility of getting it waived. We didn't have to ask a supervisor or anything, just pushed it through. Have done this multiple times now for my own cards. Don't pay late fees. Editing to add. If you do call customer service, and they help you out, please stay on the line, and fill out the survey, and give them all perfect scores. We got big bonuses on our scores, and it really meant a lot when people took the time to do it. If you want to complain, do it in the comments box, not on the actual scores. One bad score can tank the bonuses even if it was a bad rating on the product, and not the service provided by the agent. Clean while you are cooking. Related. Clean before going on a trip. Last thing you want to do when you get home is housework. Plus you won't dread getting home, knowing that it's already done. Have friends generationally older and younger than yourself. It's a good one. But also weirdly frowned upon. I have different friend groups. My closest friend group is my age, 7 to 12 of us. I have a group of older friends, who we let our dogs play together. 30 to 40 years older. Then I volunteer to manage, and coordinate kids who are 15 to 20 years younger. Most of them, their parents are making them volunteer, or it's community service hours. There is something unbelievably valuable to learn from each group, but most dismiss the younger ones, because they talk in a lit manner, but on God they have respect for the grind fam. Listening is better than talking. I've learned from being quiet that, if you listen for long enough, you'll have most of your questions answered without asking the question. I've learned from being quiet that, if you listen long enough, other people will feel the irresistible urge to keep talking and never ever stop. To learn something, repeat it to yourself 3 times on the day you learn it, 2 more times the next day, once the day after that, and you know it. Most of the time. Automated phone systems don't understand nonsense. If you need to speak to a person, answer the prompts with things like, chicken nuggets, or shoelace. It will assume an error in its language system and route you to a person. When reheating rice in the microwave, put a little bit of water in the bowl, so it heats up fluffy again. Diarrhea is the best excuse to get out of anything. No one questions it and no one expects you to go to a doctor for it. Yep, that or vomiting. No employer, none of your friends or family wants you showing up puking or on the verge of shitting yourself, having to run to the bathroom. When your alarm goes off in the morning, do not think, only react. If you sit up immediately and start getting out of bed, it becomes a reflex. No more lying in bed for hours trying to wake up. Now I hear my alarm and brain is alert and ready. I try to remind myself that, staying in bed longer won't give me any more rest. It will just make me suffer longer. Managers. Give your employees the credit they deserve for everything they do, especially talk them up to your bosses. This is a literal win-win. Your employees love you for respecting them, and your boss loves you for successfully managing a great team. Too many times I see bad managers bring their own egos into the mix, feeling like they need to compete with their own employees to take credit for jobs well done. this does not have the effect they think it has. Confidence can get you super far. Like, if you just act extremely confident, and normal and totally fine about whatever it is you're doing, anything nearly, people won't question it. You're supposed to be here, just walk on in, or out, or whatever. That's the attitude to have. I cannot believe how well this works for some of the nicest people as well as the biggest jerks alive. It works. A fluorescent jacket, a bogus lanyard, and a clipboard will get you access to 2/3 of the places that usually aren't accessible. When someone is wrong on the internet, type out what you want to say, then delete it once you've got it out of your system. It's incredibly cathartic, as you organize your sources and logic. You get the time to sort out what you think and why, and you can calm down a bit, as you let reason take the wheel instead of your emotions. Which lets you realize that nothing you say matters to them anyway. If you find that your finished product is particularly well written, feel free to save it off to the side, as a sort of personal study, if you want. Excellent Zen hack. Never commit a crime during the commission of another crime. Example. If you are transporting illicit substances, don't go speeding around in a car with a busted taillight and expired tags. One crime at a time also applies to stuff that is technically legal but looks super shady, like driving around with a bunch of guns in the back. People like talking about themselves more than they like hearing about you. If you interact with people for work, memorize one thing about them. Could be a kid's name, a sport they like, a hobby they do, their job, etc. Ask them about it every once in a while. People are always surprised and appreciate your interest in them. Obeying the rules when you drive dramatically reduces your chances of crashing. How do you drive dramatically? Quoting Shakespeare the whole time? Is this a red light I see before me? Admit your mistakes quickly, and without undue apologies/self-flagellation. Not only will people trust you more, you'll usually move on from the mistake much faster. Generational wealth is a huge, real-life cheat code. Damn, I knew I'd forgotten to be born rich. If you have a hobby, relegate one day a month, at least, to doing something major tied to it. If you like fishing in the afternoons some days, set aside a whole day to start early. Go to that place you wanted to fish at, and set up for the whole day to do what you enjoy. I, personally, like tanks. I make model kits and play games involving them. So, once a month, I make it a point to find a museum that's hosting tanks, and go visit it. Bovington is a 2-hour drive, but I never feel like it wasn't worth it, even if I'm just wandering around stuff I've seen before. Simply find a big thing tied to your hobby, and do it. You'll find that hobby far more engaging. Make people laugh within a minute of meeting them. They will remember you, and help you. If you want to change the subject in a conversation, discreetly, but noticeably drop something. Make it look accidental. It will break the train of thought of the other person, and allow you to restart the conversation. Old dark psychology trick. The more you understand, the less you have to memorize. Understanding is a knowledge compression algorithm. Example, Pythagorean theorem equals distance formula, equals formula for a circle. If you have something nice to say to someone, like you think they did something neat, or have a cool shirt, or made a good moral choice, it's generally good to say so, and not wait for a better time to tell them. You may not remember, or bother later. But most people really benefit from encouragement, or appreciation when it's genuine. If you have some criticism, or something rather mean to say, try to wait a bit. You may find you don't need to say it, or you may find a way to express it that will be more useful and digestible to the person, rather than just pissing them off. Obviously they aren't always possible, but it's a good life hack to be kind and encouraging on the spur of the moment, and to be circumspect and thoughtful about criticism. I have learnt this today in first aid. Use a syringe to suction out a splinter. When stressed, take a walk around the block. Take deep breaths while doing so. This should help one bring down the emotions enough to think rationally. At least once per month, go out to a park or nature preserve, or anywhere where noise pollution is reduced, and sunlight is high. It does wonders for mental health. When job hunting, one does not need to fulfill all of the requirements listed. Most job applications are wish lists of what an employer wants. Having 60 to 70% of the skills necessary is often enough. Front load as much as possible. This applies to chores, work, cooking, finances, etc. If you have time/energy/money to spare, get as much done as possible, so when crunch time comes around there is less to do. Tally up your average expenses and subtract from your income. Then divide the remainder by the number of days in a month. This will give you an easy to remember daily allowance to do whatever you want with. Invest as early as possible. Compound interest is the lowest effort way to make money. Very hot water temporarily takes away the itchiness of bug bites, and poison oak/ivy/sumac. Just listening to people is almost as good as being able to read minds. Most people will cheerfully reveal exactly what they're thinking if you just listen quietly. It could be through what they say, what they don't say, or their body language. Your own ego causes 99% of the trouble you face. Always play dumb, always. Don't let them know your moves.